everybody. Dr. Padma Shri, Dr. Ganpat Yadav, Haren Sanghviji, Sunil Jain, eminent speakers of the day, today's webinar. Dr. Samir Joshi, our own IPI treasurer, member treasurer. I welcome you all on the today's webinar on plastic recycling in 2021 at the crossroads. How do we go from here? Today's subject is very eminent and requirement to the plastic industry, which is facing the challenges on the environment front. We should really address together, all organizations coming together and try and see how we can solve this and make government understand that plastic is very important in the life of the people. I would rather say that let's do the work and tell people to say yes to plastics rather than no to plastics. I take this opportunity to introduce and talk about little bit of Indian Plastics Institute. Registered and is there from 1985. We at Indian Plastic Institute share the knowledge on advance and development for the benefit of its member public, the arts, science, technology, engineering, plastics. Form and organize a strong professional body of those connected or concerned with the plastics. This institute supervise, advise upon, and advance the standard and methods of education and training at all levels in the field of plastics. Samir, I'm having the disturbance, please. We carry out the projects plastic as eco-friendly material. Project the vital contribution of plastics in various fields of economy. Disseminate for public awareness all relevant information about plastics to remove the myths and misconception, educate public the beneficial role plastics play in improving the overall quality of the life. In IPI, that is Indian Plastic Institute, has 15 chapters on pan-India basis. Similarly, we have 22 student chapters located in Ahmedabad, Chandigarh, Chennai, Delhi, Bombay, Pune, Vadodara. We at headquarters organize national and international conferences, endowment and memorial lecture rotated at Pan India. IPI Mumbai chapter jointly managed by we had displayed 75 innovations in the last exhibition, that is Plastivision, in Mumbai, January 2020. We have a global partners like Alan MacArthur Foundation, Ocean Recovery Alliance, engage to reduce the plastics pollution on land and the water by creating strategic solution for governments, industries and communities, which led to long-term hands-on engaging the business practice. The mission is to achieve through purposefully designed program to educate, build awareness, and provide solutions that inspire positive social change at the community, national and international level. We also have engaged ourselves with the Goa Institute of Management and Ocean Recovery Alliances and had the competition on case studies on the recycling, where 175 students from IIT, IIM, ICT, IIP took the part. We also have IPI journal published 6 issues bi-monthly and distribute to all our members and some of the institutions free of cost, with so many new development taking place in plastics every day. We also conduct the DIPI course, that is diploma course at ICT and in Mumbai and at Bangalore. With these few words of the on IPI. I wish all the eminent speakers to have a successful seminar today. And I thank you, Samir, to invite me to start the session. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Pankaj Bhai, for your words of introduction. शिवेंद्र जी, आप ज्वाइन हुए हैं? Without wasting much time, let us go straight to the program. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome our first speaker, Professor Ganpati Yadav, former Vice Chancellor of UDCT and a person who needs no introduction. Professor Yadav, may I request you to please take this forward?
Thank you. So I speak for about how many minutes?
15 minutes.
15, oh God. So it is a very tough job. Anyway, so what I will do, I will go through some of the slides and tell you why plastic recycling can be achieved through, reaction engineering approach to meet the net zero goal. Oh God, there is something. Okay. So you can see that the waste which is generated, there is some problem here. Just 1 minute. Huh?
I think, sir, you can continue. It's showing an advanced feature of technology. Whatever you're talking is just coming on.
But I don't want that.
But that's fine. I think it's all the more better, sir. People can also read it and also hear you.
Okay, all right.
Parallelly,
All right.
so
Okay, all right. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you that, we will have something like 3.4 billion tons of waste by 2050. And typically plastic is about 12% of that. And if you look at the per capita waste which is generated will rise to something like 1.42 kg per person in next 15 years. And so what we can do, can we create a zero waste society? And all of you know these reduce, reuse, recycle, recovery, landfill, all these approaches. But what are the 7 important pillars of circular economy? That is, you have materials recycle, renewable energy, water extraction, biodiversity, preservation of human society and culture, health and well-being of all species, and human activities to create values beyond the measurement. Okay, that is what it is. And you heard last week, there was this climate summit. And everybody talked about something called as a net zero economy. Remember, our CO2 emissions are something like 51 billion metric tons between, this is what they say. So now look at the CO2, which is going out. In the atmosphere last year in January, it was 410 ppm. This year it was 412, despite the fact there was the slowdown in economy. So how do you go for this so-called net zero economy? So this is what I'm going to talk about. And the whole purpose of this is to give you some ideas, because our economy is based on carbon. And can we reduce carbon? Can we recycle? Can we reuse some of these ideas? And one of the things which plastics is that, plastics was considered to be a blessing for humankind, but now it is considered as a bane because of the overuse and the number of problems which it created. So what interestingly it means that technology has helped society over the years, and if one technology creates problem, another technology will solve it. And since it was introduced, the plastic has grown by 25 times. And so something like 100 million tons. And so these are the 7 types of plastics. I will not tell you the IPA and other guys, but remember, because of the lack of technology, the so-called solid waste management related to plastic has not been as effective as it should be. So we can see some of these things, and I'm going to talk about recycling and other methods where reactions are used. So we will look at so-called chemical recycling processes. So you have mechanical recycling and you have chemical recycling. And in plastic waste recycling, I will consider this chemical and energy recovery, that part of the system. Remember, the plastic waste represents the largest untapped resources. And some time back, Pankaj Bhai said that, this is particularly related to single-use plastic. Can we use chemical upcycling? What is, instead of the word using recycling, can we use upcycling? And this is the word which is used by US Department of Energy. So chemical upcycling holds the promise of shifting the paradigm to energy efficient production of chemicals and materials from plastic waste instead of fossil feedstock. So yes, in this recycling techniques, we have chemolysis and thermolysis, and I will look at something related to polyurethane and other materials. So look, what are those reaction engineering things which we can use? For example, if you have waste plastic, you can do steam gasification, get hydrogen or syngas, air gasification, pyrolysis and reforming. Again, you get hydrogen, FCC, and hydrocracking using hydrogen to make fuels and chemicals, and pyrolysis. So interestingly, in the case of gasification, we can create syngas and hydrogen. This is composition of CO and H2. And once you have hydrogen, we can do many wonderful things in plastic reprocessing. So for example, in the typical gasification process, normally the temperatures are very high, in the range of something like 1200 degrees C. So you can see if we do gasification of plastic, and once you get syngas, you can create large number of chemicals. And the list is provided here in this particular slide, particularly the one which is related to Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, or you go from syngas to methanol, dimethyl ether, gasoline, and whatnot. So variety of chemicals can be made by using these principles of chemolysis. So chemolysis will be accompanied by catalysis. And these are the reactions which you have: hydrolysis, glycolysis, aminolysis, etc. For example, look at PET, which is a very favorite of everybody. So we can process PVT by hydrolysis, glycolysis, methanolysis, aminolysis, and produce a number of chemicals and monomers, and which can be reused. So the depolymerization and valorization is very important part. Perhaps PET is the largest plastic which is being recycled and reused. So these are the number of reactions. So another interesting part is related to polyurethane. So polyurethane can be hydrolyzed chemically to make diamines and glycols. Or in the case of glycolysis, you use one of the glycols like ethylene glycol and glycerol to break down the polymeric backbone of the glycol. And this is what is done in the case of polyurethane. We can do similarly aminolysis in the case of nylon 6 and nylon 6,6. And so you can see, for example, in the case of polyurethane foam, you can do methanolysis and get polyether polyols, and you can split this by alcoholysis. So large number of these products can be made by polyurethane foam. In the case of acidolysis, nylon 6 can be categorically depolymerized to monomer caprolactam, and using phosphoric acid as a catalyst. So there are many other catalysts which can be used. So this is something chemolysis will be very important to synthesize or resynthesize polymers. Thermolysis also using high temperature, which I mentioned. So there you will have pyrolysis, you have cracking using hydrogen, so hydrocracking and gasification. So large number of processes have been developed in the literature, and so you don't have to be despair. In despair, we can use this waste plastic and do pyrolysis. There are techniques by using kiln pyrolysis, or for example, when you have pyrolysis and you get a pure fuel oil, it has to be hydrogenated, and that can be done to get better quality oil. So this hydrogenation is, you can handle all sorts of troublesome atoms like chlorine, nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. And this is very well known in refinery processes. The same thing can be used for all plastic, waste plastic. So PVC, PET, polyamides, rubbers, and whatnot. So similarly, we can look at the unsaturated polyesters, and all these polyesters can be reused. So you can, for example, you have this melamine in urea resins. They can be recycled by partial regrind into virgin. And so, for example, polystyrene foam is one of the biggest problems for the world. But we have many technical solutions. One of these very recent papers, this came last year, was this: you can produce from this styrofoam, can get hydrogen and methane, and both of these are very valuable, gases in industry. So we can look at polyurethane again, and you can see polyurethane, you have feedstock recycling, and I was talking about the chemical recycling. So many of these things you can have in polyurethane. And so, for example, I can give you chemical ones like hydrolysis, aminolysis, glycolysis, and alkalolysis. All of these things are used for polyurethane, or we can recover energy. What it means, waste plastic is not going to be a burden on the environment, but we can have smart technology. And so we need to design better plants for recycle of this plastic. So towards the last part of my talk, so something which is related to bio-based plastic, because bioplastic is talked a lot about these days. And it is believed that the global market for bioplastic will be something like, there will be 40%, about 324 billion by 2030. So this is very huge. So there is a difference between bioplastic and biodegradable plastic. So many times you have additives in the, petroleum-based polymer, and it can lead to degradation. For example, many of these bacteria, they start degradation by incorporation of oxygen into the molecule. So we know that we can do it. So the chemistry of this biodegradable plastic, like the polylactic acid and the PHAs, or the thermoplastic starches, all these things are well known. So we can look at all these things, and you have biodegradable and compostable plastic products, so they can be recycled very easily. Very recently, there was a paper by Chinese authors. What they are talking about, they can blend two enantiomer polymers inside a plastic that can withstand high temperature, expanding its usefulness further. And so, the so-called polymer upcycling, single-use plastics can be converted into a variety of new products. Okay, we can convert into useful products. And how do you do that? So, for example, you have to design new types of catalysts for depolymerization, including materials like polyethylene can be, degraded into useful products anywhere between sweeter to C20. So you can have a lot of fuels. Okay, similarly, you can convert SUP into, for example, waste polycarbonate can be converted into polysulfone reduction. This was a paper which came in past. Okay, and so also we can look at the polymer waste, and you design new types of catalysts. So you see, for example, okay, and so in the case of next generation for polymers of chemical circularity, we have to design and synthesize polymers with properties similar to or better than the current material. So that is possible because of these lot of new developments in this. So we can also have, new strategies for depolymerization and repolymerization, and that is what it is. So-called upcycling means that. So we have to understand, design, and develop reversible polymer chemistries that can go beyond the current state of art. And some articles were published, in ACS Sustainable Chemistry. And finally, it was, the carbon negative fuel, like hydrogen as a source, because anything which goes in atmosphere, whether it is a fossil fuel or the renewable biomass, converted, you have to have a carbon neutral or carbon negative. So hydrogen is the best source, being the cleanest fuel. So once you have hydrogen, I wrote a couple of articles and editorials very recently in a newspaper. So you can see, if you have hydrogen, you can have hydrogen vehicle, synthetic fuel, upgrading of oil, biomass, waste plastic, ammonia, metal refining, and many things. So hydrogen is going to be a very important source. So we developed some technology in ICT, and we can produce hydrogen at something like 95 cents as against about $2.5 to $3, which is the current price. So there is no carbon, therefore it is good. So so-called net zero economy, it is going to help us. Hydrogen is going to help us. So there are many production technology. Since I don't have much time, I will only go to the last part, that is in the steam reforming and partial oxidation of hydrocarbons leads to hydrogen. So these are mature technology like biomass gasification, including what I told you about the waste plastic gasification. Okay, So in this particular case, we have compared something like 19 technology available in the market, and we find our technology is the best because it can produce hydrogen at 90%, and the other is oxygen, and you know what is happening with oxygen these days. So that is, and this does not include the valorization of oxygen. So in our process, what we have done, we have a solar energy, molten salt, we have copper chlorine cycle where hydrogen, water goes and comes out with hydrogen and oxygen, and it can be used to convert CO2 into methane, dimethyl ether, formic acid, and whatnot, including waste plastic. So you can see the number of products which can be made by using this hydrogen, including formic acid, which will go in fuel cells and whatnot. So yes, ultimately the whole aim in the net zero economy is to go down from something like 35 gigatons to less than 10 gigatons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by 2050. So this is where the whole thing is. So finally, we will have a great future. Polymer people or the plastic fellows will not worry about it. Nothing should be taken as a waste because we must aim towards zero waste society. Polymer upcycling is deconstruction and reconstruction of waste polymer for its valorization. So plastic can be recycled chemically with proper strategy, including depolymerization. The environment will protect it. So catalytic reaction engineering will be the tool for this. Hydrogen will play an important role in net zero economy. And hydrogen economy can be elegantly intertwined to make many, many chemicals from waste carbon sources, including biomass, plastic, and C1 off gases. And government of India should adopt hydrogen economy to meet the demands of the Paris Agreement. That is the only way to meet the goals of Paris Agreement. And of course, there will be many technological challenges ahead, and I'm sure science will take care of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a good presentation. We have some comments that can you share the presentation, because some people would like to, study it in detail.
Yeah, I'm writing an article. I will share the article.
Thank you, sir. We welcome our next speaker, Mr. Haren Sanghvi, past president IPMA and managing director of GMS Plastic Machinery. Over to you, Haren bhai.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you, IPI. Thank you, Shivendra. I'll just connect to my screen. I hope the screen is clear.
We can see it.
Yes. Okay. Basically, yeah, after a very detailed and technical paper by Dr. G.D. Yadav, I think my paper would be quite simple and not so technical, but I would be covering the plastic recycling in 2021 at Crossroads and how do we go from here. I think this topic, Samir, you selected it very aptly because at this point of time, our industry is facing with a lot of new laws and regulations that are coming in, new notifications in the PWM, new notifications for SUP, new notifications for pollution, for EPR. So a lot of things are going on simultaneously, wherein our industry is facing many issues. I will start with the most important topic of the current era, and that is on SARS-2 and how plastics can help to fight SARS-2. You can see the number of products that are there which are helpful for protecting us from SARS-2. The mask, most important, which everyone is required to wear, is made of plastics. I believe government should just see this particular end of plastic, not end, but this particular side of plastics and think about plastics as the most positive product that mankind can use. The future that is expected to be in terms of segregation and sorting would be the 3-bag culture or the 4-bin culture or 3-bin culture, wherein yellow would be for biomedical waste segregation. There is a rule specifically for that, which is the biomedical waste management rules, which came out in 2016. Then there is the green for wet waste and food leftover, which is part of the solid waste management rules, which again came out in 2016. And the blue for recyclable waste like plastics, bags, wrappers, packing material, which came out in PWM 2016 and just recently upgraded to 2021. Recycling of plastic packaging, well, the most important thing is to have a circular economy. But I believe in India, with the culture that India is having, it is next to impossible to have a circular economy without 100% support from the government in terms of collection, segregation, getting the sorted waste to the recyclers or the producers. Recycling of plastics is the prime area for innovation and sustainability. Currently, plastic recycling is not at its core. We still need a lot of development to take place, especially in forms of how to recycle multi-layered plastics to be reusable, etc. Many developments are going on, as Dr. Yadav has already told in his speech, and I think he didn't complete his speech because there is a lot more technical data that I know he is able to tell us about, and new developments that are going on. In India, 3,500 organized and close to 5,000 unorganized recycling units exist. And this is one of the major criteria as far as recycling industry goes. Close to 5,000 unorganized means they need, once they become organized, only you can bring in the proper recycling laws. Proper recycling technique should be available where you can do, almost all the polymers at a time. Current, the existing equipments are not able to do. For example, if you take the traditional extrusion systems, you are not able to do certain polymers like PVC or PET in them. But the new end technologies will have all this built in. Today, the major recycling is done on following polymers: polyethylene, polypropylene, PET, polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, and PVC. Recycling of plastics is close to 3.6 tons per annum and provides employment to 1.6 million people, out of which 0.6 million are directly and 1 million are indirectly involved in the recycling sector. Municipal solid waste contains an average of 4% to 6% of plastic waste as per CPCB reports. 65% of plastics waste is recycled as per CPCB 2020 reports. What are the current issues which we are talking about? One is the regulations which are coming in, the new PWM guidelines, the new EPR rules, the SUP rules. They are all going to hamper plastic industry. They are all going to hamper even the recycling industry. Because today, if you see the new PWM rules, recyclers are part of the EPR Act. They are part of the PWM Act. They have been made part of the PWM Act too. Reasons why plastic recyclers are unorganized is purely because of the regulations. The pollution approvals that are required for becoming an organized recycler. those are not suitable for each and every recycler. If they really want to follow the norms, they have to change all their equipment and the way they are doing recycling. And if they really change the way they are recycling, they will not be able to do the recycling what they are doing at this point of time. Really, if you want to see the way unorganized recyclers are doing, I think Samir can take you to a few of these recyclers who are doing all the road waste recycling and still surviving. Solutions for water and air pollution are the most important things which will bring unorganized recyclers into the recycling stream. Booster packages like subsidies, no tax regime for recyclers would help recyclers to be organized. Another most important criteria which has come up recently is that most of the recycling granules that would be produced after processing would need to pass through BIS standards to be reused in non-food applications. These quality regulations which will come in will not help organized and unorganized recyclers as per the current BIS standards. So the BIS standards will need to be adapted to the Indian conditions to accept this regulation. Then comes the compulsory use of recycled waste in certain no food application. If you see the current act which recently came in where they asked 20% of waste to be used again in plastic, it's going to be a big problem if we are not going to have proper food grade, we are not going to be able to use this waste for food grade applications. And in food grade applications, it should actually not be allowed. Plastic waste management 2021 onwards, what would be the needs post 2021? One is the, as I said earlier, improvement in the recycling technology. Latest trends of equipment should be required. Recyclers would need to follow the guidelines for plastic pollution regulations and have equipment which would adapt to plastic pollution regulations. They would need ETP plants for water recycling and reuse. Water is going to be a shortage in the future, so more and more regulations will be there in the government in the next future. Once those regulations come in, all our recyclers will have to fall in line with those regulations. Increased requirements of recycled polymers is always the outlook for the recycling industry. India would have to have social and environment responsibility. Zero waste economy would need to be implemented if India needs to be totally plastic waste free. The number of dumps that are increasing in India need to reduce, otherwise India would be flooded with just waste. Sustainable solutions for value recovery of plastics is the most important point that needs to be taken care of. These, of course, is a repeat of what Dr. Yadav has just showed us. It is the value recovery of plastics, different options of value recovery of plastics, wherein most of us would promote that there have to be two major criteria for recycling. One would be material recovery, where we would do mechanical, feedstock, and biological recycling. And then there would be the final leftovers as an energy recovery. Energy recovery would be plastics to fuel, plastics to energy, plastics to road consumption, road construction, plastics to cement clean, all those requirements. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harin Bhai, for an excellent presentation and really how do we go from here? Thank you, sir. Now we come to the digital part of the waste management, how things are changing and evolving in 2021. It is my pleasure to present Ekta Narayan from Recycle, and she is going to tell us about something exciting that they are doing and what they see in 2021 as we move forward. Over to you, Ekta.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good evening to everybody. Thank you, IPI Plastic Today and Sanyog Parivar. It's a pleasure to be part of this discussion, and indeed a very important discussion that we are at crossroads. So where do we go? We have seen that there is an amazing presentation so far, and so much I have learned. I think there is so much of science and technology around plastic, where hardly any of us are aware in general public scenario. And that's why I think we have largely been exploiting this wonderful material, and it's not being managed well. So today I would like to start with something that there is a change in the entire thing. You see, there's a change in our language completely. We say join the call. Earlier we used to say meeting mein milna hai. So whether it's play, whether it's education, school, college, or sports, or anything for that matter, whether when you're ordering food or buying a movie ticket, there is technology everywhere. Technology has entered all the space, and we totally understand that the digital transformation of society and economy has by now become a pivotal development of the 21st century, affecting every area of daily life, economy, policy, life, etc. Waste management, how can that be left out? It's such an important part. So waste management, waste prevention, circular economy, these are no exception to it. And at Recycle, we have understood the power of digitization, and we are trying to make a difference and trying to connect all the stakeholders to make this process of recycling a more effective thing. So first, I would like to just take you through very briefly about our company. My sliders. Is it moving down? Oh, yeah, it's going slow. Just a moment. Yes. So about Recycle quickly, we are a waste management company, and what we are trying to do is we are enabling waste commerce through digital marketplace. So we are trying to connect all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, right from generators to processors and also the recyclers, bring them on a single platform, because we come from a background of e-commerce and SaaS, and we are technocrats somewhere. So we are trying to use our expertise, our knowledge in this space of waste management, and see that what we can do better in this space. Each transactions that happen needs a lot of transparency and traceability. But today, we are working with more than 100 brands, working with around 150 recyclers, more than 54 municipalities, to be precise, doing almost 10,000 plus metric tons per month, and working with all the bulk generators. These are some of the awards in the process that we have achieved so far. The most recent one is the Responsible Business of the Year award from Grant Thornton Sabera, and we have been recognized by FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and NASSCOM, working with all the leading brands in the country, and also having tie-up with UNDP and Dow Chemicals. We are continuously learning the space, understanding the circular economy and the sustainability programs that each one of us are trying to take up in our capacity. And today we are at the crossroads with 10,000 plus recyclers. I think just now Harin sir has also mentioned about this, but 50% of them are unorganized. So how do we progress with this? Before looking at specific digital technologies currently applied in waste management, it is important to understand the underlying forces that have so far promoted or inhibited digitization of waste management. At this crossroad, I think it's important to discuss this. What promoted? Definitely, I think the entire waste management is happening in silos, largely managed by informal people. So there is definitely a fragmented kind of approach. So it needs to be collaborated. It needs to be brought together, and this can be linked or connected through digitization. So that's, I think, one of the most important thing which promotes the digitization. But what it brings about, what it inhibits, cost pressure, the right business model to be identified. These are the new things that we need to work around and understand ki what would fit the best. Digital technologies come with a promise of a more efficient process, better sourcing of valuable material in the waste stream, and give an effective link to the other sectors for complete circular economy. And I think that is what Service in his previous presentation was just presenting. So at Recycle, what we have done is that we have tried to build certain apps where the collection process to disposal process can be tracked. There are various generators, and then there is somewhere collection is happening, and then there is a point where it is disposed. Disposal largely today reaching the landfills and water bodies where it's mismanaged, and that's why people are saying say no to plastic. And we want to say yes to plastic. We all know it's a beautiful material. It's bringing so much of ease to our life. So what have we done at informal sector, the generator level at consumers and bulk generators? We have tried to digitize. So there are apps which connects to the collection centers, the nearest collection center in the particular city. Okay, it can be particular locality. Today, the most important inhibitor is also the price factor. Do we really know what's the fair price of the material? So many types of plastics. There is no proper uniformity. So there's an online catalog for market rates as per the current trends that we are trying to maintain. We are trying to bring this particular segment of small kabadi walas and the waste pickers, giving them access to banking so that there is an online payment transaction. Today, we are all in that space of GPay, RTGS, NEFT. So why cash transactions? In the COVID situation, I think everyone has learned the power of online payments. Every sabji wala or fruit vendor has got a QR code in front of his cart. So this is very easy and it can be done. And this small digitization brings about so much of data, and data helps us to measure. Only when we can measure, we will be able to plan and think ahead. So what we are trying to do is we are also trying to spread awareness through digital technology apart from this, because awareness, I think, is the first step to change, any kind of change. So as soon today, I think, well, in last two presentations, there has been enough awareness, and I'm sure there'll be some behavioral change that we will try to bring about. The future would be QR codes for waste collection monitoring, platforms for connecting the professionals, waste collection companies, an online portal for complete compliance management. From this part of collection, then where the material is going, it's not going to landfill, it's not going to water body, but to an organized recycler or waste to energy plant for its rightful disposal, or getting or recycling or upselling, with what we have been speaking about right now. So we have apps to digitize this record, maintain a record, plan a platform for managing end-to-end operations, an online linkage to recyclers, and a complete digital enabled material sourcing. And that's what I would say is emerging from this crossroad, and that's called waste commerce. That's what we are bringing at Recycle. The waste commerce, we have all heard of e-commerce, but yes, it is time to have waste commerce, because it is not waste. We all know it's material, but we still have to use this word. I hate to use this word, but I'm forced to use, because I cannot create a new word suddenly. I need to align. People have to understand what we are speaking. So we have to still use the word waste. And that's where we are trying to show the value. I think Sir was just speaking, value recovery of plastic. So we need to understand that, and that's where Recycle is working. So the digitization part, which I have just explained in my previous slide, we have built certain products, And those products, which what you can see at consumer level, we have an app called Used. At business level, bulk generators, we are using a recycle business app, and using these two, an individual or a bulk generator can actually create a request and ask for a pickup of the waste material from his premises or from his house. So he would know where the material is going, and he would get incentivized or paid for that material, because we know that there's a value to it. There is another digitization we have done at the material recovery facilities or municipal corporation ULBs, and that is the Smart Center app that you can see here. So this helps them to understand the inflow and outflow of material, maintain a record, and that the moment we know there is a material which has come, which is baled, shredded, or washed, and it has been made into some other easily transportable form, then there are recyclers who are willing to buy this material for manufacturing something new, for upselling, for recycling. So this is the marketplace that's getting created. And in the process, we know that EPR is in for the brands, electronics as well as plastic. So these brands need EPR fulfillment, and they need complete traceability of the entire transaction. So we are supporting the brands through this complete process. They are getting the right kind of documentation, and their EPR targets are taken care of. So that's at the recycle what we are doing, and what it brings, the benefits. So why should we have this? It is definitely because easy access to new buyers and sellers. Today, there are so many people who are collecting the plastic, but what is happening to it? Is it really reaching to the right buyer? How can I open a market for somebody who is collecting plastic in Hyderabad or in Mumbai? Can he sell from Mumbai to Hyderabad or Mumbai to Delhi? Yes, it is possible through, this Connect, the platform that we are working on. This helps them to fast liquidate the material. And once this is happening, we totally understand that, there will be more value to the material, and once the material is getting utilized, then people will not say no to it. Rather, they will start more business around this. And there is a complete traceability, what the government of India wants. They want to know what's really happening to it. So this digitization brings transparency and traceability. And the most important thing is operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is key to it. Digitization is not an end in itself. The application of digital technology should rest on its ability to create new changes or solve the existing problem in this sector. And this is possible only when we connect things through the right technology, spread awareness. So I think that's what we need to do while we are at crossroads, and together spread right kind of awareness and make this beautiful material exist to protect us, to serve us better in the longer terms. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ekta, for that digital touch to 2021. Thank you indeed. I'm hurrying up things because we are already behind time. May I request Shailesh, who does work on the ground, to please begin his presentation. Shailesh Shinde from Social Lab. Over to you, Shailesh.
Thank you, sir. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. I'll present the topic of role of EPR in the context of plastic waste management in 2021. So, this is Shailesh from Social Lab Environmental Solutions Private Limited. Basically, we are a startup. As Ekta, she also comes from a startup. We are also from a startup, and we are working basically on two things. First is solid waste management consultancy to the municipal councils in Maharashtra and Gujarat. And the second is EPR for plastic waste. Under EPR, we provide the end-to-end service of collection, scientific disposal, and compliance. While in SWM consultancy, we try to fix the leakages in the existing solid waste management system of the municipal council. Here, I'll first brief about our SWM service, and then I'll move on to the topic of role of EPR in 2021. So our SWM service is based on 6 pillars. First pillar is research for action, wherein we conduct baseline assessment of the existing city and analyze the gaps in the existing solid waste management system. Based on these gaps, we prepare the plan for collection and transportation and other things. So when we are doing the collection and transportation, we ensure that the vehicle is tracked through GPS tracking, and each and every household gets collected, gets access to the waste transportation vehicles, and through that 100% of the waste is collected. Once for doing this, we need to do capacity building of the sanitation staff. The capacity building includes how to use the PPE kits, then how to talk to the seniors, how to talk to their peer, how to talk to the citizens, in ensuring the citizens are doing the job of segregation and waste collection in a proper way. To do all these things, we conduct extensive awareness campaigns at the municipal council levels. These awareness campaigns include Nukkad Nataks, door-to-door awareness, using various competitions wherein the citizens can participate and they learn the tricks of segregation into wet and dry waste. Once we do all this, we ensure that all these steps are monitored. For example, when the vehicle is going door to door, we ensure that that is monitored through a centralized system in the ULB through the GPS devices. When the citizens are giving their waste, that is also monitored through the web. That is also monitored by weighing the weight in front of the citizens. And the last component of this is active documentation, action documentation. Mostly this concerns with the Swachh Sarvekshan and the related formalities in which the ULBs need to participate compulsorily. So this is about solid waste management, in which we provide solid waste management consultancy to the urban local bodies. Coming to EPR, we'll see key. Before seeing the role of EPR in 2021, we'd like to see key what has happened on the front of EPR till now. So if we take the case study of Maharashtra and the work done by Social Lab, we can see till now we have been able to secure progress on 3 fronts. First is the registrations as per the plastic waste management rules. So till now, the Urban Development Department of the Government of Maharashtra has been able to provide endorsements to the action plans of various producers and brand owners. And because of these endorsements, the MPCB has started giving registration under plastic waste management rules. Though MPCB, as you all might be knowing, is a pioneer in various activities like plastic ban and all those things, MPCB was seriously lagging in giving registrations to the producers and brand owners. But there is good news on that front, and recently in the last month, MPCB has granted registrations to some of the producers and brand owners. So we consider this as one of the achievements of us. This was possible because we were able to show ULB tie-ups all across Maharashtra in our action plans of our various producers and brand owners. Till now, we have been associated with more than 33 ULBs only in Maharashtra, which ensures we are collecting and scientifically disposing the recyclable as well as the non-recyclable plastic from the entire Maharashtra. However, the most important thing in ensuring that the volumes of plastic waste get scientifically disposed is the target fulfillments. Because of the limited registrations granted by the MPCB and slow action, most of the PIBOs, they were not doing their EPR fulfillments 100%, which is mandated by all the governments. Their target fulfillments are only limited up to 30 or 50% of their actual production capacities. So this is where we are right now in Maharashtra. But when we come to what can we expect on the front of EPR in the context of plastic waste management in 2021, we can see action on two major things. First is the boosting of recycling activity. And the second is localization of solid waste management services, particularly the plastic waste management. What I mean by boosting of recycling activity, I mean ki there needs to be more formalization of the recycling activity. As Harenji has pointed out in his presentation, the norms for registration by the Pollution Control Board are very strict. That's why most of the recyclers are not opting for registration and the consent approvals with the pollution control boards. So EPR, the incentives through EPR is one of the way in convincing these recyclers to get registered under plastic waste management rules and have their consents approved. So this can be one of the activity. And to have this activity on a large scale, we are looking at plastic parks, which Mr. Jhunjhunwala, who will be participating in the panel discussion after this, is actively pursuing for Malegaon. So formalization of recycling activity is one of the major expectations on the EPR front in this year. And the next is push to circular economy, wherein we expect sustainable designs from the brands. For example, if we consider a PET bottle, it is made of 3 different polymers. One polymer goes into the making of the cap, one goes into making of the plastic bottle, and the other polymer goes into making of the label. Because of this, the recyclability of the plastic material used in the plastic bottle gets reduced. So if the brands come with sustainable designs, then the circular economy will get boosted. And the next component is PCR usage in product manufacturing. Recently, the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board come out with a notification saying 20% usage of recycled plastic is mandatory in non-food and non-pharma grade plastic packaging, which Mr. Haren Sanghvi also highlighted. And with our interaction, we can say from some of our interactions with the brands are seriously exploring this option of using 20% PCR in their products. So if these things at least realized as a pilot project, then there will be a very good boost to the circular economy. And the next expectation is localization. So the current SOP released by the CPCB states clearly that the brands need to fulfill their targets state-wise. Till now, it was zone-wise. So it was very easy for brands to pick up good performing states and collect their plastic from that state and send it for scientific disposal. But the state-wise target and the next step will be city-wise targets. This will actually boost source segregation at the local level, at a particular municipal council or corporation, and ensure that the plastic is segregated from other wet waste, which will ensure that the plastic attracts value. When the plastic is available at the local level, it also will generate avenues for local scientific disposal through techniques like pyrolysis, recycling, or road construction. So this was about role of EPR from me. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh, so much. And if you remember, Shailesh, IPI did that small part in some way in helping the Maharashtra people to submit their plans by electronic means during the pandemic. So
Yeah. This is all because of IPI. Last year, in the month of April, we sent a letter to the Principal Secretary of Urban Development Department through IPI for accepting the EPR action plans of various PIBOs. And because of that letter, we are at a stage ki more than 100 producers and brand owners from Maharashtra have been given this approval from the government.
Thank you, Shailesh. That's a small part in the whole ecosystem. We now
Yes.
come to our panel discussion. We are unfortunately not going to have Mr. Mr. Mukesh Jhunjhunwala here because of some reasons. I would straight away go to my two panelists. I would call her the Zarina of circular economy, Mrs. Shalina Goyal Balla, and the Prince of MLP Recycling, Rahul Poddar. So welcome Shalini ji and Rahul. And before I ask some questions, can you please make some introductory remarks about what you feel about the circular economy and plastics in 2021? How do we go from here?
Thank you, Sameerji. Thank you for inviting me. And I welcome my fellow panelist, Rahul, also here. I hope everyone in our families are doing well. These are very tough times, I understand. And I thank to all speakers for being there and coming for such an important topic on circular economy. Sameerji, now that you are asking about what do I think, so I will take it as a personal kind of my view on plastics and how they will perform in 2021 and 22. I believe what Mr. Yadav was saying, Dr. Yadav was saying is very much right, that the plastics are a very important, they are wonder polymer, no doubt they are called wonder polymer, and it will continue to be used because we are seeing this second wave, and use of plastic is the most important thing that is saving our corona warriors at that moment. And we don't see the use of plastic diminishing anywhere in 2021. But it will be more technology, more science that will take on, and more business models will evolve in kind of recycling this plastic. I think that's one thing. Another thing that I see is the consumer awareness that is growing. But in the lieu of the pandemic, I think the consumer awareness takes a backseat at the moment in 2021 once again. And so the plastic waste generation is only going to increase. And we should be looking at more recycling avenues of this plastic, biomedical plastic waste also, which is being generated in huge quantities. At the same time, I would also say that being someone who knows circular economy, I would say will understand that recycling the plastic is not the solution to the problem. We need to find out other solutions. So this will continue. And so ICCE, what we does, Dr. Sameer, you had asked me to kind of give a little brief about myself and the organization. The International Council for Circular Economy works particularly on the mandate of circular economy. What we are doing is we are working with the government on capacity building around circular economy. We are capacity building of the pollution control boards, be it central or state pollution control boards. We are also helping the government to form some policies. So we happen to be on the committees, government committees on dry waste and the C&D waste, on how the waste management could become more circular. And believe me, it is a very challenging task when we talk about that, because it's very difficult to understand that when we are talking about circularity, it's not just the recycling. In fact, recycling is the last part. I think Rahul is agreeing with me more or less. So it's very difficult. It's a very challenging task. But at the same time, yes, it has to be done. And that is what ICC is doing towards it.
Thank you, madam. Rahul, all yours. please introduce, you are well known, but please introduce what new you are doing in 2021. Rahul, can you hear us?
Yes, Amirji, you're audible. Tell me,
Yeah.
can you speak?
Please go ahead. Please introduce what you are doing new in 2021.
Amirji, you are not audible, sir.
Can you please tell what you are doing new in 2021?
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Amirji. Thanks, Shalini. Yes, so basically, we at Shakti, there are a lot of new developments in this coming year. We are coming up with a few recycling plants. One is in Indore and one is in Gujarat, following the footstep of Nepra. Are also setting up a big recycling plant in Noida in collaboration with a brand. We are coming up with one of the biggest facilities of recycling MLP waste into granules, which is where we are focused on more of RDF waste, where today materials are going to incineration, and we are focusing on creating a good ecosystem and using that MLP waste for circular economy and upscaling it, where we will create some products out of it by converting this waste into some valuable products like dustbins, pallets, garbage bags, flower pots, and many more, vegetable crates. So we are more focused on circular economy and converting into products, as we think that going forward, government bodies and brands and they will focus more on consuming products which is manufactured out of plastic waste. So we are focusing on that in this new financial year. Also, we are coming up with we are supporting few startups, NGOs, where they are developing some good sustainable products again out of waste. Some startups, we have invested in a startup called Recycling, which have a IT background, and they are into some waste management portal where they are providing connects for waste management companies and government bodies. So yes, this is how we are focused to do to work in this financial year.
Thank you, Rahul. If I can ask you, you have been appointed as an expert in circular economy to advise the NITI Aayog. So how do you see the circular economy and plastics as a package together as seen by NITI Aayog?
Yeah, so basically we at NITI Aayog are basically focused on creating a policy for waste management and specifically for plastic waste, which is an actual issue, and they are taking opinions and feedbacks from all stakeholders in the country who are involved in this. And we are working on creating a policy where recyclers get good support from the government bodies and brand owners, and there should be some standardization in the recyclable materials in India. Apart from that, there should be we should create a good system for to support recyclers and upgrade the system of waste management companies. So we are focused on that, and there are a lot of people from this webinar who are a part of the committee, and we are working on that very closely, and hopefully we'll come up with a very good options and a policy in few months.
Thank you, Rahul. May I, Shalini ji, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah. Can I ask you your perspective from how you see the circular economy and plastics globally, as now you are working in this field of circular economy?
Yes, sir. Am I audible to everyone? Is my
Yeah.
voice on? Okay. Okay. So, sir, when I talk about what we are doing, your question, what we are doing in circular economy and how it will progress in 2021, there is a lot of innovation that is happening in now around plastics, and thanks to the first two presentations, they also talked about a lot of innovation that is happening in this area, which will perhaps kind of help in recycling the plastic. One very important statistics that we find from these presentations, also from the international view, is that plastics constitute a very small fraction of the municipal solid waste. And also most of the plastic, like one of the presentation today was saying that 65% of it is being recycled. So, plastic is not that big a problem if it is managed properly. But the problem is the material is not being managed properly. Perhaps there are some uses which should be restricted. The single-use plastic in that case, which should be phased out in gradually phased out, not with a knee-jerk reaction like it happened the last time. So the government has to kind of make a policy which will gradually phase out the single-use plastic and the harmful plastic sector of it. Whereas the important plastic, the other plastic usages, I think will still continue to be there. And when we see an international perspective, I think it is the same way. Gradually, everyone is right now phasing out single-use plastic. If we take the best of the case studies, they also show that there is a gradual decline in the use of single-use all over the world. So single-use plastic SUPs will be gradually reduced. Alternates to MLPs is something that the industry is working on. Perhaps that could be another thing that we see some solution to the MLP could be introduced. Then the policies that are coming up related to circularity, including in India, it is still a policy in formulation. It will take time to formulate, plus execution will take a lot of time. But at the same time, the policy is focusing, and I'm very happy with the committee that's formed. And since we are in regular touch with Niti Aayog as well, we understand that they are focusing now on a different approach. So Indian government has started kind of taking a different approach, where they are not thinking of recycling as the only alternate to the waste, but they are also considering the other important aspect of circularity, which is reducing and reusing, which is again very, very important. I think the non-profit sector, the startups, digitization, technologies, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and EPR all play an extremely important role in managing this waste. So I think there will be a gradual shift in single-use plastic, and an alternate to the MLP is something that I am expecting to happen by 2021.
Thank you very much, madam. I know we have not had audience participation, so if there are any questions for our panelists, I would like to welcome them. Anyone who would like to speak or comment or ask?
Samir, can I say something here?
Yes, please.
This both to panelists, a very one particular question, that you are experiencing very bad roads in the Maharashtra. Okay. And the government of India has allowed, and I understand that our PM Modi ji had announced that the plastic waste should be used in the road construction. Okay. So have you done anything on that? Because if you see the road, either on the Nagar road or Pune this side, all roads are in such a bad shape that all this flexible packaging waste can be easily used, and that way we can reduce the plastics. Why this is not happening? Why the road construction contractor, either they don't want to use because they get the reconnect with the new contract on making the road again? Because once they use the plastics, the road surfacing will be of the years to get damaged.
Right. Shalini, I'll take this question.
Please.
You can also answer it later. But
Sure.
so yes, Pankaj ji, actually, we have worked very extensively on this road project in Maharashtra. In fact, Nitin Gadkari ji, he is also based in, he's a minister in Maharashtra, and he has, created this policy, drafted this policy for using plastic waste in roads. And we are working with a lot of agencies, in fact, a lot of private companies like L&T, Godrej, Reliance have done some pilot projects in the city, in few parts of Mumbai, in few parts of Pune, Nasik, and Solapur or Kolhapur. So we have done few projects, but again, the contractors are not that, they are not aware about the actual, blending of plastics with bitumen and aggregate. So, again, there is no, they are afraid of buying plastics. They don't know about the quality standards of plastics, what quality shall be used, what is the mixing proportions. It is taking time for them to understand the exact details and all. And I think they have started doing R&Ds and trials, but I think it will take some more time for them to understand these things in detail and then start using plastics aggressively in roads. So I think next year onwards we will see more of plastic roads in this city and in Maharashtra, definitely.
Oh, but then this will reduce a tremendous amount of the waste which we are being generated particularly to the flexible packaging applications.
Yes. There'll be huge consumption of MLP waste through this, and it will at least give good value to MLP waste. As of today, it's going at zero value, so it will create a value for that material, and definitely it will help to improve the quality of roads also.
Shalini ji, you would like to add something?
Yes, sir, I would definitely like to add, because I was working with MoRTH on this, and there are what Rahul is saying is right, but there are few implications at the government level, and why it is not being formulated as a policy is because there are two things to it. One, sir, as Rahul indicated, that the studies, the performance of the road is yet to be indicated in exact figures and the time duration. So there is a stretch, I know, from Mumbai to Pune, which is made from plastic. So MoRTH is now saying that a percentage of plastic should be used in making roads. So that proposal is there, but it has not come into the policy yet. Why? Because these studies have not been done. And the other thing is that the environmental impact of using plastics in road is still not certain, and people are still finding out what will be the environmental impact. Though we understand that it will be a very good use of MLP, it will give some material value to it. It might lead to, and there are indications that it might lead to improving the lifespan of the road. But at the same time, what is the environmental impact is something that needs to be done. So the life cycle analysis of that road is yet not done, and I think that will be good. And there is an organization, I think, which is working with MoRTH on this to find out, and accordingly the policy formulation will take place. That is my
what will be the environmental effect on this kind of applications? I mean, I fail to understand this.
So use of MLP, converting them into pellets, and then using them into the roads.
No, you can directly use. I mean, there must be some technology. This was.
Sir, I'm sorry,
sir,
I will not be able to comment on
Shalini ji, with due respect to you, this kind of examples is already set in the Tamil Nadu. Samir, I don't recollect the name of the professor which had made Vasudevan. He had straight away used the waste in the mixing with the this for road construction.
Yes, sir.
With the butadiene, with straight away mixing with the butadiene.
No, sir. There is a process involved.
I agree. There may be some process. I am not expert in this. I'm not
tell you,
expert in this, but I mean, it's straight away waste can be used. You must
Yeah,
find
it-
some solution. I mean, you people are all experts, technically well equipped than me, but then there has to be
Not-
some solution to this. I mean, you
Sir.
don't require the pellets. I'm quite sure.
yeah, no, it's a-
MLP doesn't require to transfer into the pellets and then mix with the
No.
material and
It's
then
just-
make the rock.
just shredding it below 4
Yeah,
mm
that's
size,
it.
2
That's
to
it.
4 mm size, and it should be below 50 microns. That's it.
Yeah. It is, I mean, if one has to work on this, it can be done. And I think so that will solve 70% of our problem. Even
we
even
should
applying
take
the
this, I think.
single-use plastic, even if the single-use plastic is allowed by the government, this can be the way one can make a solution.
I know Dr. Vasudevan has done something on this, and I mean, that is why he's called the plastic roadman of India. But I think this study needs to be taken. It's a very good point, sir. We should take this study to MoRTH and maybe ask them to consider it faster than what they are working on. And I think I'll definitely write to them about it. Thank you so much for
If the
pointing it out.
lifespan is the problem is with the contractor, because then again they will not get the contract, and that income goes down by this applying the plastics.
Yeah, sir. There are few gaps still in this
Yeah.
system, and that's why I was telling you that things will get resolved within a year or so, as the government is strictening the policy and they are doing mandatory use of plastics. So things will resolve. Yes.
Rahul, I'm quite sure that if you go to out of India in any other Western countries, they are doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, like
And you see the kind of the roads they are building,
25%,
including China, including
Yeah.
China.
Japan and China are using plastics in roads, like almost on highways and local.
Yes.
So yeah, the quality of roads are far better, and it's proven technology. There is no ifs and buts, but still, there are
I understand there is a political reasons behind this, but I think so we should address this if we want to survive as a plastic industry.
Right. Sir, it's
Very
just
Plastic waste doesn't contribute more than 9 to 10% to the waste, entire waste which is generated by the other industry, including the construction, the electronic industry.
right. You're absolutely right, sir.
So I think so we should address it in the right way.
And there are
Yes.
lots of
Anyway,
usage-
at the IPI, whatever help you need, we are ready to.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, sir,
Pankaj
sure.
bhai, thank you.
Thanks. Sir.
We are run way past about the time. I would request Shivendra ji to please give his vote of thanks and concluding remarks. Shivendra ji. Shivendra ji, आप हैं?
Thank you, Samir bhai. Very meaningful discussion. Thank you very much, Samir bhai, and IPI chairman Pankaj Shah sir. Thank you very much. Padma Shri GT Yadav sir, Haren Sanghvi sir, Ekta Narayan ma'am, Shailesh Shinde sir, Shalini Goyal ma'am, and Rahul Poddar sir. Actually, Mukesh Jhanjunwala busy some family problem, and Ajay Tandon sir corona positive, so they could not come to this webinar. I wish to be healthy. Again, thank you, Shamir bhai, IPI chairman, and thanks all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we will hope to connect with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Samir ji. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Ekta ji.
Bye.
Yoga, sir.
Thank you, Ekta ji. Thank you. Very nice
Pankaj,
presentation.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Atul bhai. Keમ છો?
Ekta, it was a
Mr.
good
Rahul.
one.
Good presentation, Ekta. Good
Yeah,
to see you.
Ekta had a very good presentation.
And, it was
Congratulations,
good
Samir.
to learn from your speech as well.